So next coming to the stage, we have Mr. Jason Watson, a visual artist. Y'all can give it up for Jason, yes. A visual artist with interest in figurative representation, cryptic text, and found objects. He just completed a year-long residency at the McCall Center and is setting up a new studio space in NODA right down at Hart Winston. Yes, his drawings will be included in a group of shows at the Green Hill Center in Greensboro and the North Carolina Museum of Art in Raleigh this coming fall. So y'all give it up one good time for Mr. Jason Watson.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much. And my McCall Center people are here. Yay, guys. Yeah, okay. So, I am interested in many different things, but among them, above all else, is the human head and found objects. And indeed, human heads that are found objects. When these two slides are connected, the image on the right was of a portrait bust, and on the left was of my drawing of it. And now you're seeing another image of one of my drawings on the right and the found object that inspired it on the left. I pick up objects on the street, I buy them in thrift stores, and collect a lot of different things, and I'm always interested in giving them a new context and a possible different history in my drawings by placing them against other situations. The figure first entered my work as an object. I started to look around beyond thrift stores and go into museums, one of my favorite places to draw, and that's where I found figurative sculpture and started to put that into my drawings and kind of activate it. This led to a lot more museum going. This is one of my favorite places in the world. It's the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and it's full, this is the Royal Cast Hall, and it's full of copies of sculptures from all over Europe and all over the world. And on the left, that is a cast of Trajan's Column. Not Trajan's Column, but a cast of it. This slide shows another one of my drawings of one of these figurative sculptures. And you find yourself in an interesting predicament when you're drawing in museums, and some of them you can draw, and some of them you can't. And I often end up kind of sneaking behind the sculptures and drawing them from odd angles, like this one. And I haven't been thrown out of a museum yet, but I've been threatened. So over the years, I've gone to a lot of museums all over Europe, in South Africa, Mexico, lots of different places, and I've put together this kind of collection, a lot of snapshots and a lot of sketches of different heads that I'm interested in drawing and bringing to life in the sculptures. And that's how one leads to the next. Now, when I draw these faces, I play with the anatomy. I often open or close the eyes. Sometimes I will give them a look as if they're staring straight ahead, or as if they have an eye disease, glaucoma perhaps, or as if they're lost in their own thought. And the drawings and collages over the years have been growing. This piece is a little bit larger than that projection, actually much larger. I think it's about 8 feet tall. But what I started to do in the past few years is combine my interest in the figurative aspects and the found objects. And at first, it was by putting the objects and the heads together and kind of playing with their dialogue on the page. But then I started to play with attaching the actual objects to the page, and I started to collect figures from other places, like collages from old movie magazines and movie posters and things like that. This is a detail of that piece you just saw. And there's another one of those portrait busts. The media, by the way, that you're looking at is a variety of different drawing and painting media. It's colored pencil, gouache, acrylic washes, inks, and anything else you can imagine that I have at hand. So this is the most recent work that I've done, a lot of it in my past year at the McCall Center, which has been a great experience. And the thing to note here, if you look at the bottom, you will see those two little shoes, and those are not collage, they are the actual shoes themselves. So I reached a point where I wanted the heads to start speaking to the objects back and forth and vice versa, and I started to attach the actual objects to the page. But it's still the heads that really intrigue me. And I think by drawing these different portrait busts, in a way I'm kind of animating them and bringing them to life, and hopefully starting to connect with the person that inspired that face in the first place, wherever they may be in time and place. Here's another one of those pieces, and again, the small chalice in the front of the piece is not collage, it's an actual chalice that I found at a thrift store here in Charlotte, sliced in half and then connected to the collage itself. And I'm just going to shut up and let you look at that for a minute. So here again is that head that I showed you at the very beginning of the projections. And there's an interesting story behind this. So I collected this portrait bust, so to speak. I first saw it when I was in London and put it into my kind of visual archive, knowing that I would want to animate it in a drawing someday. But I didn't really know how to make it speak, how to make it come alive, how to give it a voice. And then it ended up being a found object, that pair of scissors that kind of brought the thing to life. And something else altogether. And that final component that brought this head to life was a conversation that I overheard while sitting in a coffee shop here in Charlotte. The conversation was about a woman who wanted to get a degree to become a physician's assistant, and she had a little bit of an argument with a friend about whether the proper term was physician's assistant or physician assistant without the S. So I collected also a conversation and used that to create a piece. What you've been looking at now is another really large piece that I'm still working on, actually, but I have within my work at the McCall Center. And this was also very much influenced not just by the portrait bust, not just by the found objects, but also by incidental material that I'm kind of collecting and writing down from my time here in Charlotte. So incident and conversation and other kind of random things and notions are starting to find their way into the work. And it's starting to change things, and it's starting to kind of make these heads come alive in a very actual way. And I'm actually thinking about drawing real people again. I'm going to leave you with this final thing. This is a piece of found poetry that I found here on the streets of Charlotte. Cat, crack, cat, crib, can, crab, club, class, clip, cab. Thank you very much.